So now we'll begin looking at American photographers and their take and use of photography as an art form. So Edward Stitchin and Clarence White, getting into pictorialism. So much like Emerson, using the natural light, using the natural setting, not completely manipulating the work like Robinson. So getting to the whole idea, picturesque, picture perfect, uh, sort of idea by taking the picture with everything being much more natural. And around this time we have impressionism. So in the world of painting, where the impressionists that I mentioned, they had their first show at Nadar's studio. Sort of a blanket statement you could say is, the right here, the right now. They're looking at the middle class. That's sort of mainly their inspiration coming from the leisurely activities of the middle class. And what's the middle class doing in this new life with the Industrial Revolution? It spawned a new growth in the middle class, plus the idea of, this is when the modern world started with the Industrial Revolution, brought about the modern world. So their work is, the right here and the right now. So the Ashcan School essentially is the American equivalent of Impressionism. They're looking at modern life in America. What's going on in America? Who are these people? What's the daily life like? What are the daily doings of people in America? So really, between these two and the realist who came right before, in a way, they're challenging the camera. Their big rival is the camera. The camera can document the right here, the right now. You can walk out, take a candid shot, and so that's what they're doing with their painting. Um, so that everyday people, everyday occurrences, the everyday becomes this important subject matter. Uh, as I like to sort of say, with the realist who kind of started the right here and the right now, of course the Impressionist and the Ashcan school, pushing that exact right here, right now, so that you basically become an important subject matter, like the Mona Lisa. Getting away from the academic and the archaic ideas that reign supreme in the art world. So one noted movement, the photo sessions, which was a group of artists that took up photography. It said that artists were starting to see that the camera is a useful tool, that you can use this camera much of a way to create an image like painting. So you could get a whole bunch of the Ashcan schools and the Impressionists and all the various photographers working sort of at the same time, like Rylander, Robinson, Emerson. You could put all this stuff together, and the paintings and the photographs would have very similar feel. So it's the idea that photographs can be artwork. It's not just portrait photography or the whole commercial aspect. Now, pushing the whole idea towards this means of the camera being another tool. So here we have Alfred Stieglitz, who's kind of one of the big champions and founding members of photo sessions. So his photograph, The Terminal, taking New York City outside of a train terminal. So it's showing it that every day, showing the right here, the right now. What's going on in New York right now, this moment? This is what's going on. This is the everyday. This is modern life. Basically what Stieglitz is trying to show in his photograph. In the steerage, where subject matter, for this one, you're getting into uh, kind of the ideas of photojournalism in a way. And so studying this photograph, we have these two distinct different people. So the Stieglitz, could have been hanging out, seeing the boats from Europe come in. So this photo is taken of a German boat, the Kaiser Wilhelm boat, of mainly the steerage class. So the people there in the bottom part of the photograph. So the steerage class, it sounds better than third class. So if you get into the idea of how much can you afford for a ticket, it's like I got enough to scrape by. You always hear all the stories about immigrants coming over, the whole family gets together, they scrape all their money to send one person over here to live out the American dream, and they'll make all the money and bring them over, the rest of the family over later. So that's sort of the steerage class, the people coming over to start a new life. And so the upper part of the photograph, that's going to be the first class and second class. So really, it's like Stieglitz is trying to show the whole sort of idea of the people that have and the people that are the have-nots. Um, and some of the people up top are looking down. It's almost like the steerage class is there for their own enjoyment. In fact, I mean that becomes kind of a big political argument on how just kind of all across the globe, uh, how people of lower standings, they're there for the amusement and to create this enjoyment uh, for the upper class. If you're to go back to France and Paris, a lot of time the ballet schools, they would go and find the young girls of uh, families that didn't have as much money, and it's like, oh, you can be a ballerina, you can have this career, blah blah blah. You'll be able to make money for your family, their life will be better, all this and that. What they don't tell them is, oh, by the way, uh, your ankles and your knees and all that's going to take this, brutal punishment. Um, Essentially, we're not going to tell you that you're expendable. Once your legs are broken and disfigured and you can't dance anymore, we'll just throw you to the side and find someone else. Um, so, it's sort of what, Stieglitz is getting out, pointing out the difference between them. So another one of Stieglitz's photographs is Marcel Duchamp's Fountain. And this piece, when you get into the discussion and study of modern art, this piece becomes a huge game changer in the art world. So the Marcel Duchamp simply took a urinal, wrote R. Mutt, is one of his sort of alter egos, and dated it so that his idea, if I sign anything and put a date on it, much like any other sculpture or painting, anything like that, it becomes art. Anything can become art. Basically what Duchamp is doing. So Stieglitz, starting his gallery in New York, wanted to essentially bring the modern art from Europe to America. Uh, and so, Duchamp's fountain, uh, part of that. So here we have Stieglitz photographing works of Pablo Picasso and George Braque from an exhibition that they had in his gallery, Gallery 291. Like I said, he's showcasing and bringing over the artwork from Europe to the American audience. Because when you again getting into the big picture, anything going on that was important in the art world was mainly in Paris. Paris was sort of considered the art capital of the world, which is why there's so much art and stuff uh, coming out of Paris. Everyone sort of gravitated to Paris, and it's the artists of all, painters and photographers coming along too, sculptors, all the different styles and things like that. And they're talking with the playwrights and authors, and it'd be kind of an exciting time with all these different creative minds coming together, all the different areas of art. They're all hanging out, chatting, talking up, throwing their ideas back and forth with each other. So Paris was like the hot spot for all of this to happen. So Stieglitz basically wanting to show all this great and innovative art that's going on over in Europe, and his gallery 219. And so kind of along with some of Stieglitz and his ideas of what you could do as sort of this art form. So photographing the hands of Georgia O'Keeffe, his wife, so that we start to get away from sort of recognizable imagery, so that these hands are sort of kind of abstract looking. It's more about not so much the human form, but just sort of the form of the hands and the lines that's being created. It's a little more abstract approach to it, getting away from such straightforward, recognizable imageries, creating something a little more abstract that you might notice. Hands of Georgia O'Keeffe, first looking at the photograph, you might not notice the hands at first. So that's what Stieglitz is doing. Again, it's think about some of the abstract painting that's going on uh, over in Europe. So again, it's this photograph trying to mimic the paintings and the ideas of the modern art. Same could be said about when he starts to photograph clouds. So that you're getting away from the recognizable, you're getting into the non-objective, non-representational artwork, uh, influenced by Wallace Kandinsky, who comes up with this idea: if artists are free from representation, they're able to explore all these different areas and feelings and ideas. If I don't have to worry about having, in the Kandinsky case, I don't have to worry about, having this nice little still life for you. I can just paint whatever I want. So uh, the photography equivalent, Stieglitz photographing clouds, because clouds are constantly moving. They're never really the same thing. They're much more of this abstract image. There's sort of kind of a lot going on up in the clouds. Uh, Case beer. female photographer that comes along, and Stieglitz, is sort of enamored by her work and really wants to promote it. Uh, so here we have her, doing these portraits of Native Americans, which rubbed people uh, the wrong way by her take on it. Simply because, you know, dur during our sort of uh, history of our country, as the Europeans are coming in, uh, taking over, it's like, well, they're not Christians. They're savage. They're not civilized. They're these you know savage groups of people. They're murderers. You just kind of go on and on about it. Uh, but Case Beer is, showing them for who they are, and it's back that who am I? Who do I want to be seen as? So people don't like that she's showing them as sort of, uh, you know, dignified. They're showing, she's showing them as who they are. They are people. They are these, proud people with these two cases. They have the everyday dress. They weren't putting on uh, these costumes. They weren't being stereotyped. They were not being portrayed as uncouth savages. Uh, they're being shown for the proud people with uh, uh, their outfits, their uh, traditional clothing for their group. You know, they're being shown as people. They're being shown as humans. So again, being a female photographer, we get that glimpse into the female world, uh, and you compare her photographs. You could compare it to, some of the Impressionist painters, Mary Cassatt and Barrett Marceau, to the female painters in the Impressionist group, which they were seen as equals, and what they started to bring is sort of this glimpse into the the females world, what women are doing, how women are perceived. A lot of times women were, they were, in almost like second class citizens. Some of the ideas before, women should be submissive to men, and all the kind of uh, male macho type ideology. Uh, Women have their place in society. Um, Again, like talking about children, they should be seen and not heard. So she starts to give a glimpse in this, and basically humanizing them. They're humans. They're people. They have feelings. They have emotions. They need to be seen. They need to be shown. So along that line, her photo of Evelyn Nesbit, the original Gibson girl, and the Gibson girls, as in one article, sort of compared them to uh, turn of the century Kardashians, which is kind of painful to say something like that. But that here are women they're going out and they do what they want. They will wear the clothes that they want. They will not be told how they should be seen, what type of clothes they should wear. They should not be limited and dictated to their sort of leisurely activities that they want to do, because we're women. We want to do what we want to do. we don't want to be stereotyped and shut away and all of that. They start to take on sort of the lifestyles and activities and things like that of men. So it's the Gibson Girls was a series of illustrations showing the modern woman, the woman in these modern times doing what they want, doing what they want to do for fun, not being told what they should do for fun, but what is they're doing that they want. So, being much more strong, independent, uh, female that gets portrayed. And so Evelyn Nesbit was one of the models for the Gibson Girls. It's a series of illustration by an illustrator Gibson. Uh, so here she is, being photographed, in much of a similar way that she wants to be who she is. And along the same time, E.J. Belloc down in New Orleans with his series of portraits from Storyville. And Storyville was an area down in New Orleans, basically a red light district. And so Belloc would, go around and photograph these prostitutes. Often, he's photographing them on their sort of leisure time off. Uh, Again, much like the Case Beers photo of the Native Americans, showing them for who they actually are. So here we have, Belloc showing showing us who these women actually are. They're not just there for the entertainment of others. So he's trying to, this little glimpse and humanize these women. A lot of his photographs of these, you know, often get compared to Toulouse-Lautrec, one of the post-impressionists who spent a lot of times in brothels and kind of seedy places for his subject matters. Again, it's humanizing these people, giving these people normally that should just be swept under the rug. We want to pretend they don't exist. They're there just for our enjoyment. But they're people, they have feelings too. And so Belloc is wanting to, bring that through in his photographs. So the unfortunate part is that Belloc never really did much with these photos. So this one you can see is kind of horribly treated. So Lee Freelander came about ownership after Belloc's death in the 50s. He came into possession of them, and he wanted to, you know, in most cases, sort of re-photograph and to restore them, to share them with everyone. Because, for the most part, Belloc's, these photographs were never really shared or distributed. There's, even tons of other of his photographs that they were destroyed or whatever happened to them. We don't have them. So when Freelander found out that he was able to get a hold of these and essentially sort of restore them. That's what he, wanted to do, to share with the world the images of Belloc. So then Joel Peter Whitkins, highly influenced by some of the Belloc images. So in his photograph, fictional storefront camera store window, we have, sort of his take on the Belloc photograph. If you were to, down below the reclining figure, you have this blurry, it would be, one of the war photographs. So of all these, different little kind of bits and pieces of all these different photographs from the world of photography. And the idea of, camera store window there in the bottom right, you have all the different types of cameras that would have been used to take some of the different photographs. So, if you use this camera, you can take the wonderful action photos that were done during World War II of the storming of Normandy. Or if you have this 8x10 like Belloc had, you can do these wonderful, beautiful portraits of these women. And so that's, Whitkins is trying to sort of recreate the whole idea of, what you can do with these cameras and, some of the images throughout, photographic images, kind of throughout history. Same time, Whitkins looking at, not only Belloc, but also looking back at the Lewis Carroll. So the, children should be adults kind of thing. And so it's sort of this, weird image. How am I supposed to take this? Is she trying to look like an adult, or is it, something that's a little more seedier? Sort of what's going on? I'm not sure how to take this photograph. It's kind of what you're sort of left feeling. Uh, much like one of his other famous photos, The Kiss from New Mexico. And so the story behind this is, these two men were basically, they were hung, and they were found guilty and hung, basically executed because of their sexuality, because they were gay and found out to be gay. They were killed. So sort of Wiccans. Letting them sort of have this last eternal kiss that they would never get to have because of their unjustly murder, where it was a crime to have have these feelings for another man. That it, the way homosexuals are treated, and the idea of gender and sexuality, all that Wiccan is bringing to the table with this photograph. So that is it for this series. The next we will begin to looking at documentary photographs.